30 years ago this fall, a law professor named Anita Hill testified about sexual harassment at Clarence Thomas's Supreme Court confirmation hearings. Now, Because of Anita tells the real story of what happened and what's changed. You'll hear from journalists, witnesses, and activists, and listen in on the first public conversation between Professor Hill and Dr. Christine Blasey Ford. That's Because of Anita, a production of Pineapple Street Studios and The Meteor, out now wherever you get your podcasts.
The climate crisis is here. Time's slipping away to stop the worst effects of global warming, and we need solutions. Hosted by me, Molly Wood, How We Survive dives deep into the economics, the tech, and the human stories behind those solutions. From billionaires trying to monopolize lithium mines to business rivalries so fierce that one CEO was dragged off a plane by federal authorities. How We Survive, following the money to the end of the world because our survival might depend on it. Listen on Odyssey and everywhere you get your podcasts.
What's going on, everyone? Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie. It is 94 WIP. Great to be with you off and rolling on this Monday morning, following up on a real frustrating loss yesterday by the Birds, 42-30. The offense, they moved the ball a lot, but not enough touchdowns, not nearly enough touchdowns. The defense, pathetic. The penalties, disgraceful. The team 1-3. We'll talk about it with you on the phone lines, 215-592-9494. Obviously, your calls all showing what stood out. Hurts's performance, Sirianni through 4 games. The defense, Jonathan Gannon. Dude, you got to get it together. You just do. All of it on the table for you to react to, 215-592-9494. Richie Rich.
Joe.
Hey, bud.
Pokemon is the highest grossing media franchise of all time.
That's shocking to me.
They beat out Star Wars, and they're still beating out Star Wars.
They beat out Harry Potter, too?
They keep getting it's not even close. Pokemon beat out Star Wars by over $35 billion.
Is that because it's like a game, an app or something like that?
I don't know. They've made estimated over $105 billion. And then Star Wars is 5. Hello Kitty's 2. Winnie the Pooh is 3. Mickey Mouse is 4.
Yeah, well, the Mickey Mouse I get. All right, I'll tell you what I don't get. Well, I guess I get that the Eagles lost because they're an inferior team. But let me say this, Sean. In a word, I'm aggravated. Bottom line is I'm aggravated. I didn't expect the Eagles to win. Obviously, I talked about that last week, and frankly, the game was closer than I expected. But they had greater opportunity to win than I thought. And I think then, like we all thought, the Eagles actually had an opportunity to win the game yesterday, and they kept shooting themselves in the foot. And it was a big step forward by Jalen Hurts. It really was. Props to him. He had 2 big misfires on what could have been touchdowns, and those moments hurt. And yes, he was facing an obviously Swiss cheese weak defense from Kansas City, but it was a very, very solid step forward by Jalen Hurts yesterday. I was, for the most part, very impressed with how he played. But I got to tell you, John,
still
I don't know. I'll deal with that later.
Impossible to work in Philly as our starter?
I tend to think he won't be the guy, but we'll see. Look, my thing is, and there's a lot of ways to go here, and obviously one of the major storylines is how many times they shot themselves in the foot and the offense not finishing drives. But to me, the storyline of this game was the defense was freaking horrendous. We can talk about all the missed opportunities in the red zone, and we will, because that was a major storyline. But in my opinion, the storyline of the game was the Philadelphia Eagles defense did not show up. Jonathan Gannon's defense, which this team this year requires to be pretty good in order for the team to have a shot to win enough games to make it a competitive season. This defense was on the field for 7 drives yesterday, and they gave up touchdowns in 6 of them. The pass rush, limited. They had some moments, but for the most part, limited. Fletcher Cox, nowhere to be seen. The run defense, horrible.
No, and
horrible.
It's not the first time. This is not new news.
Horrible.
Fletcher Cox is not putting forth the effort that we expect.
Horrible.
From our highest paid player. He's doing next to nothing.
I know, John. Look, run defense abysmal. Linebackers, I mean, I don't even know if they were on the field. I just,
they were backpedaling.
This defense was supposed to be better than this. I see no creativity from Jonathan Gannon. I obviously see very little effectiveness. The Cox thing, I know there is a sense out there of some encouragement based on the fact that the Eagles actually played a closer game versus Kansas City than a lot of us thought it would be. Okay, but the defense let them down, and they just keep shooting themselves in the foot on both sides of the ball, and that has to go back to the head coach, who obviously has not drilled down enough on these guys so they don't shoot themselves in the foot. Whether it's Josh Sweat that's going off sides, whether it's Dillard with 17 penalties, ridiculous.
Derek Barnett, another personal foul.
One. John, the floor is yours. Look, everyone at 215-592-9494. I'm bummed because they actually had a better shot to win this than I thought, and they still. I
think that's just wishful thinking.
John, go ahead. Take the floor.
We knew that the Chiefs' defense was bad. Think about it. Before this game,
really bad.
They had allowed touchdowns on 12 of 13 red zone opportunities of their opponents.
Yep.
Prior. We are worse than all the other teams that they played because we couldn't score touchdowns in the red zone against one of the worst red zone defenses I've ever seen. We knew their defense was bad. We knew they had no pass rush. When Jalen Hurts has a little bit more time, he is functional as a quarterback. You jumped the gun on Jalen Hurts. He can be good for what we do. We just didn't do what we're supposed to do. We still gave the ball to Miles Sanders 7 times in the run game. 7. We gave Kenneth Gainwell 3 carries. 10 carries is not an NFL standard. It's not up to snuff, especially for a team that's built the way we're built. Come on. I can't believe how much they asked of this offensive line yesterday, and they came through. They did well.
They did a nice
for
job.
the group that was out there.
They did.
The offensive line protected. And there were occasions where they're going to get blamed when it was Kenny Gainwell's fault. You know, like the sack at the end of the first half where we didn't get any points out of it. That's Kenny Gainwell, man. You got a slap blitz coming and you release. That's your man. Jalen Hurts assumed you were going to do your job. There's too much of that going on, the individual mistakes, and the bottom line is we don't have the talent to hang. And on top of that,
don't you think they hung more than
matters worse?
Didn't they hang more than you expected?
I thought we would score. I thought they would score a lot more. That defense will be the Achilles heel of the Chiefs this year. That will prevent them from being an elite team.
It probably will. I mean, they looked vulnerable, man.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it looked the way I expected. I mean, I guess, we held them under 50. Good for us. Our defense is soft. The core of our defense, as you mentioned, the linebackers.
Oh, terrible.
Eric Wilson should lose his job. I don't know. The problem is, like, who do you put in there? I guess it's Davion Taylor, now that he's healthy enough. And he's the guy that we drafted in the 3rd round who just didn't know football well enough to play.
2020, yep.
But put him out there. At least maybe he'll take people on. We need Fletcher Cox, the leader of the defense, is not taking people on the way he should. He's not playing with the relentless, aggressive pursuit, and I think it's just reflected in everyone else. I guess when you don't have the players, at least put the players out there who thirst for contact, who want to go hit somebody, because we didn't want to hit anybody yesterday, and that's the root of the problem. Like I've said so many times, this game is about who's tougher. Like, line up, it's mano-a-mano, you against me 11 times, and we lost those battles.
Well, you know what?
Consistently.
John, the irony to me of you saying that, and everyone can react, 215-592-9494, is I actually thought yesterday was less about who's tougher and more about who's smarter. I really mean that, because
we're not smart either.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the miscues, it was so much that had nothing to do with physical toughness. I mean, I'm looking, I kind of jotted down, like, what are this? There were 7 or 8
Come on, man. They ran for 200 yards on us.
I understand that.
The Chiefs ran for 200 yards.
I get it, but I mean,
that's unheard of.
Andre Dillard pushing a dude. He's 4 yards past the line of scrimmage. A touchdown gets called back. Guys, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
How many times is that going to have to happen?
It's a good.
Seriously.
Well, that was a whole different. This
the illegal man downfield thing.
I know, but this was not one of those. It's a Hurts fault. It was just Andre Dillard on a passing play just decided to go 4 yards downfield just because. I mean, that's. And then you get, listen, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, that was interference. I know there's a lot of Eagles fans that think it wasn't. He's pushing with his forearms.
How could you think it wasn't?
I mean, I'm telling you, I saw some stuff on social media. Oh, the refs, they're killing us. No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
You just can't do that.
You can't do that. So, and then Sirianni's flipping out, which I appreciate the passion, and maybe he was trying to fire his team up on the sidelines. I don't know if that was an acting job or not. But, I mean, Sirianni is going nuts more than we've ever seen him go nuts on the refs on a play that was blatantly a penalty by an Eagle. I mean, it was blatantly a penalty by an Eagle.
The sad part is yesterday with 9 penalties, that was the best job we've done in that area this season.
Unbelievable,
that is a real shortcoming for this group. And when Nick Sirianni last week told us that he holds guys accountable, and he actually, was asked directly about Derek Barnett. Like, how do you hold him accountable? How are you going to make a difference? He didn't give us a good explanation. It didn't satisfy us. He danced around the topic, and he's dancing around the topic with the guys because Barnett goes out there and does the exact same thing again.
I actually thought he got pushed in, John. Honestly, I thought that was an iffy call because I thought the Niners dude – Niners, the Chiefs guy. I kind of thought he pushed him into Mahomes.
You got to know. You can't get anywhere close to low on a quarterback. That's just dumb.
Let's go to the phones, 215-592-9494. And if there's any moment to me that stood out as maybe the moment of the game, I thought it was with 9 minutes and 57 seconds to go, 9:57 to go in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs were only up 28-23. It was a 3rd and 6 for KC, and Josh Sweat jumped offsides. And to me, that moment, making a 3rd and 6, a 3rd and 1, and then Kansas City converted, and a short time later, they hit Tyreek Hill for the touchdown. And then it's 35-23, and it's, kind of over-ish. You can't do that. And that was Josh Sweat's second of the day. You can't do that. Let's go to the phones, 215-592-9494. Your reaction went down yesterday. The culpability. Jonathan Gannon. Okay? Jonathan Gannon. I'm going to go to the calls now. You get my point. Dan and Cherry Hill. Dan, you're on WIP.
Nice to open the show. Good morning, guys.
Hey, buddy.
I want to start off by saying this. I think we missed out on, three touchdowns that plays because of penalties alone?
3 were taken back, yes. 3.
And it's like, when does that stop? Like, Gannon is the main problem, him and Sirianni still. I can't express it enough. At the top of the line for the biggest failures of the season so far. And the defense is brutal. Darius Slay, I can't even get out of my mind. The guy is terrible.
I don't think Slay's as bad as you think, man. I don't.
I don't know. Eric Wilson, I don't even know why he's on a football field.
Slay spent a lot of time yesterday on Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce did nothing in the game. I've heard people going after Slay. I don't think that's warranted. I really don't.
I think it's more he looks at his own personal games than the team's game. And if he doesn't concentrate on anything but himself. I mean, it's a team. I just feel like this defense is so not a team. They're not together. They have no clue what's going on. It's a big, confused mess. And I wanted to ask you guys, do you think these coaches will be here next year?
Yes, I do.
Well,
yes, I do. We'll find out. 215-592-9494. We'll see where the calls go. All show your reaction to what went down yesterday. Now a 1-3 football team with a very important game coming up on Sunday.
Your answer, you seem so certain in that answer.
Not certain, but he asked me, do I think? And I think it'll be
Think of how we feel right now.
Yep.
Think of 3 weeks from now, if things continue this way.
We'll find out.
And we're 1-6.
I'll be surprised if Jeffrey Lurie zips him after a year. We'll see. Joe DeCamera, John Ritchie. Tell you what, they better beat Carolina. Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie, we react to yesterday with you on 94 WIP.
Keeping up with the flood of news every single day can be quite stressful. There is climate change happening. There's the pandemic, labor movements, Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend. Hi, I am Gideon Resnick, host of Crooked Media's What a Day. Each week, Travell Anderson, Priyanka Arabindi, Josie Duffy Rice, and I are going to break down the biggest news stories of the day in a way that hopefully doesn't always make you want to cry. New episodes of What a Day drop every weekday at 5 a.m. Eastern. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
There was stories of these girls that would leave his house and they would have to swim out in the lake and get away from them. He has a secret room in his house. He put me in there, she said. I don't want anybody to die anymore. I don't want anybody else to die. I'm looking for Ashley.
Season 3 of Up and Vanished is available right now. Listen for free on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
30 years ago this fall, a law professor named Anita Hill testified about sexual harassment at Clarence Thomas's Supreme Court confirmation hearings. Now, Because of Anita tells the real story of what happened and what's changed. You'll hear from journalists, witnesses, and activists, and listen in on the first public conversation between Professor Hill and Dr. Christine Blasey Ford. That's Because of Anita, a production of Pineapple Street Studios and The Meteor, out now wherever you get your podcasts.